and welcome to Weekly Open. I'm Brian. We've got Don and Josh on the line today. Before we get to that, though, I want to tell you about our friends at FTX. Go to weeklyopen.com/FTX. You can make a trade there today. Swap directly from one asset to another simply and easily on the FTX app. You also get all the tracking, all the normal things that you've loved about Blockfolio before, right there on the FTX app. Earn interest and yield on your tokens as well. It's 5% beyond $10,000, 8% up to $10,000 thanks to FTX. Gentlemen, hello. How are you doing? Don, what's up?
Not much. I mean, prices haven't moved, but I've been feeling really great.
Getting some rest while the candles do nothing?
No, I mean, I've been actually very active. It's
just
just not active in the market, just active in real life, which is actually the best kind of active, I feel like.
Good.
So yeah, feeling good. Markets could do something, but then again, like, as I said earlier, we're up so much. It's not the biggest problem.
Well, the problem could be they might do something that we don't want them to do. Josh, how are you doing?
Good. Bitcoin's 13. It's crazy, right?
13 years old.
13 years old. Some of us have been here.
It's not
for
the
most
first time
of
you've
that.
talked about 13-year-olds sitting in
Look, man. That ain't right, man.
I made it sound so much worse.
Yeah, you did.
Sorry. He didn't say anything bad, I promise. I just made it sound horrific. So Bitcoin's 13.
Bitcoin's doing well. I think everything's doing fine here. The weekly, is it the weekly? Yeah, the weekly looks okay. You don't want that to diamond top. I don't know. Things look fine. I'm not worried about anything. We need SHIB to cool it, but
SHIB. What's SHIB doing? I was hyped on it on Friday, and then I didn't look at it again all weekend.
It's up.
Yeah, it's kind of back to where it was on Friday.
Yeah.
I would have been break even, Josh. It wouldn't be that bad. So on Friday, I was talking to Josh in our Friday thing that we do, and like SHIB was like in here. This always happens, right? These short consolidations become longer consolidations. And I was like, tell me this thing doesn't look like it wants to go back to the highs. And then, of course, it just kind of floated up, and then it went down, and now it's floating back up. Because what happens is short time frame consolidations turn into longer time frame consolidations. That's what you kind of need to justify continued moves up on the higher time frames. I mean, you look at Don, you're on the 4 hour. I got the daily up here. I mean, it basically looks like it just kind of chilled for a second, but like it's a little nerve wracking that SHIB still looks really good. Like it looks like, and what's the target next? You know, like what's it go to? I can't even count. Like it's already flipped Doge. It's top 10 crypto coins now. Like what is Doge going to do? Whatever. What's SHIB going to do? Flip ETH. This terrifies me. What happens in that scenario, Don?
We're fucked. If that happens, we're fucked.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in general, it doesn't look bad for like a third leg, right? In crypto, when stuff goes completely stupid, what you usually get is like free extensions. I could see that happen, where it goes and pushes like the third time just a little bit weaker, and then goes back down to where it belongs. But I mean, honestly, like I've seen so many people try to short this or long this or whatever. If you have like spot, and if you think you want to gamble on the third kind of leg being there, I get that trade. I don't get the short or long trade here because no matter what you do though, this next move would be like a distributive move. Like the people who own these coins are going to let go of them. If they have any brains whatsoever.
Are they though? They're going to be like that guy with the Dogecoin going to the whatever. It's like, I'm a millionaire. I'm holding till the end.
All right. Do y'all want to hear some top things?
Please.
Halloween, people like to trick or treat. Last night, I had someone ask me about the Dogecoin millionaire during Halloween trick or treating because
amazing.
Yeah. They were like, they heard it on a New York Times podcast, like the daily podcast or something that New York Times does. And then also this weekend, somebody asked me about whether they should buy SHIB. And I was like, absolutely not. Please do not. And that was like without looking at the chart. But it's like, if you want to gamble on something else, anything else. But I think the FOMO has hit people. And like,
the worst kind of too. Fucking hell, Doge and Shiba. Yeah,
but you know, like that's where their head's gonna go, and they don't know what this thing looked like January 1st. Like what was it? You bought $1,000 January 1st, and it's worth like 40 million today. They don't understand that it's up that much. They just see it on their Coinbase, and it's like, oh, it's up 5% today. Maybe I should FOMO that because it could go to the moon. It's like, bro, it's on Saturn. You know, like it's way beyond the moon. I don't know. Probably some top things, right?
It's a little bit scary, yeah. I think in general, like the fact that we've had these moves shows that like we could easily be distributing. I think even if we're distributing in crypto in general, we could go higher though. And I'm kind of speculating on that. Like either it's just like, it doesn't really matter, in which case we go up, or if it does matter, I think there's a good chance that like the distribution is going to happen with like a push upwards, which both kind of indicate to me that it could go up. So I'm still holding, but getting nervous. Yeah, I don't like to see this stuff. I don't like to see like Shiba pump. I don't like to see Doge pump, even though like that's not too worrying if you look at it, because that pump was basically sold into immediately. It makes me a little bit more relaxed on the whole matter. And in general, I think the market structure that we have right now on Bitcoin is very, very different to like what we had last time when Shiba and Dogecoin pumped. If you guys remember, like Shiba and Doge like went off in this circle, right? So during like May of 20, like of this year, right? That's like a lower high, right? Right now, it's not really, right? So what we did is we made a high, pulled back a little, didn't really like break any market structure or anything. And then we've had like Shiba pump in this kind of area. So like there's a big difference there. This is much less bearish than the first one, but still worrisome in my eyes.
Yeah, this is a much more constructive setup. Man, that move back then was the greatest bear trap, like between Shiba and Doge mooning the lower high, like that was it. The market could have been done. Like all the market cycle people, us included, like we're terrified after that.
Yeah.
And here we are, and looking constructive while we're at it. One of the cases that I want to consider, it's just something that I've been trying to figure out. Like, you know, if we get a like your whole body hurts type of down move, what could it look like, basically? One of the things I've been trying to wonder is it possible we create some kind of like mechanism where we have a way longer consolidation than we're anticipating? Like, could we spend the first 6 to 8 months of next year with Bitcoin not at a higher high without going into a full bear market? This is just a little bit of a visual test for myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, is this possible? This type of thing that I've drawn out here? Or do you think?
I think so.
Or do you think that would be like a market over type of event? Like you could maintain higher lows and stuff and still have this like really, really, really long consolidation.
I'd probably get faked out by that if that happens, but I could see it. I mean, if that broke out to the upside and didn't get like a massive, massive pump, I think that would look like a top in general. Like that kind of, like that would have to go really hard.
Yeah, you could, I see what you mean. You mean if you make that low, right?
Yeah. Like let's say we kind of make the exact triangle that you painted out, play that, and then like break out to the upside and then just like weekly break out and don't do like much at all, then I would say, okay, I think it's probably going to be distributive, because I mean, like whenever we've had something like that, it's just been straight up every time.
Like my heart tells me that we need to like do this, just be at 150K. See, even this is like that's March, and it looks like it's straight up. So people are talking about like 100K now. Like when you break it out to a weekly chart, it just seems like we could go a lot slower than we're thinking.
Yeah.
And I don't think many of us are giving that credit. Maybe I'm coping. Maybe this is like bear posting. But
why does that look so much like 2018 in reverse to me? If that played out
like this,
like the internal kind of 6K floor with the internal whatever,
and then boom, and then that's the top.
Yeah, I could see that.
Well, that'd be scary.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just drawing pictures, but I sometimes I get pulled back to reality when I zoom out to that weekly chart, and I think like, yeah, we've been going pretty slow here, but you actually look at it, it looks very fast. Like it looks like a quick recovery off of this mini bear market. And I think that I don't want to discount the capacity for us to like chop for a really long time.
Yeah, seems possible.
I'd agree with that if ETH wasn't basically in price discovery. Like I think the odds of ETH turning around are lower than the odds of ETH.
Yeah, SadRx in the chat said that line I just drew is a slower line than any previous on this chart. And when BTC grows or goes, maybe both, it explodes. And I tend to agree with that. Like we have historically had these kind of explosive moves up. My question is, what if it's different? Like that's all I'm saying. I do like your point though, Josh. Like ETH looks insane. Like what does ETH do in that scenario? Is that the flippening? BTC consolidates and ETH pushes?
I doubt it. There's no way that any one of these moves without the other on the USD pair. Everything's gonna move. The majors don't move alone. They'll move sort of back and forth, but BTC is not going to sit here while ETH goes to 10K, right? I don't think so. This chart looks amazing to me.
It does. It needs the Chad candle though. Like look at that. Like
yeah, what's the volume on that?
Lower and lower and lower.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure.
Well,
I assume I know what it is, but okay. Perfect. That's perfect.
Last week was a little more than the week before. But this would be you would expect this weekly or next to be eventually you need like a thrust, right? On these suckers if you're going to have good price exploration.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
the problem is we need SHIB to calm the F down so that people actually trade this instead.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we kind of don't go here and just start going sideways and actually start breaking down again, that looks really, really bad all of a sudden. So we do need like a push at some point. The longer it stays above like breakout level and doesn't go, the more nervous I get. Yeah. Now we've had this before where it's went like sideways after breakout, but not necessarily like this. And it gets me worried a little bit the longer it takes.
One thing that could make it confirm a little better would be like kind of a singular day where you test that downside. Like it's like the market, tries to figure out how bullish can they be? Like, will they buy the dip? And you have like a really large 10, 15% singular down day spike. But typically that's aligned with if funding's way out of whack before it wants to move, and I haven't seen a lot of hints that funding is too out of whack. Now, when I move this to the daily, goodness gracious, this ETH chart, like it looks like it's just moved above and then confirmed every single level and currently confirming the May highs with this day. Like it looks like it could thrust any day. Like it all looks super, super bullish. I'm trying to consider the case. What if it's not? You know what I mean? And because I'm realizing I'm not prepared for that case. Like I'm pretty heavily into majors, but you still get destroyed on the downside if they don't go the direction you're anticipating. And I'm not sure how I would respond. I'm not sure where I would respond. Like, where do I actually take some off? How do I deal with it in those scenarios? Or am I just going to be like a happy hodler?
Yeah, it's very difficult. I think it's easier on Bitcoin than it is on ETH, because on Bitcoin, like if you're super, super scaredy cat, right? And you're like, okay, I want to make sure that I'm not holding the top, you could easily just start getting really nervous below 58K on the weekly. And then it's like, okay, you get back above there. It's probably like if it starts dipping below and gets back above, it's probably just going to go. Like at that point, it's pretty likely to just go. So, I mean, that's fine. And then if you're like someone that doesn't mind like giving back like a portion of the gains that they've made during the last few weeks, it's like like below 50K, it starts getting scary into like the 45K region. Wouldn't want to make like a lower high or like a head and shoulders kind of setup. Like imagine if we did this, broke down, went back to the lows at like 43, bounced a little, and then lost steam again. Like at that point, it looks really, really bad because you've taken out the all-time high, broken down, bounced from support, don't get much like buying there, and then it looks really bad all of a sudden because then like you get the same kind of like this was a small head and shoulders, this would be a big one. You don't want to have those, right? And so that's really easy to say, okay, where do I get like bearish on this, or like how do I flip? With ETH, in my eyes, like it's below 4K if it's not just a wick, right? Like let's say we get a big wick to 3.3K this week or next week. I think that'd be still completely fine. It'd be really, really bad if it like wicked down and then stayed down, went sideways for a while, because then I would expect it to just head lower and then take out the lows. And that looks like a massive, massive drop. But look at ETH's higher time frames, right? If it did that and then went up.
Oh, that's ultimate pain.
Yeah, I mean, that would still be realistic on the higher time frames. It just looks completely stupid on the lower time frames. So yeah, for me, the breakout kind of has to hold, given that we've spent a couple of weeks above it now on like a weekly basis. So if it pushes below on the daily or like on lower time frames, I don't really care about it. But I don't want to see I don't want to like see it take out 3K and stay there. Like that would look really, really bad in my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's going to go, it needs to go soon. It needs to go with volume for sure. Otherwise, yeah, it is in some trouble. It's just weird. It's kind of sad here. You know, it's just hanging at all time highs.
ETH or BTC or both?
ETH.
BTC
ETH looks more ready to me to do something, but yeah. I don't know.
It's pissing me off. I wanted 2 memes so badly, and I'm only getting one. Like, if they do the together thing, I'm so bummed. Like, I really, really wanted, like, Bitcoin missed a chance. It missed an opportunity here is what it really did.
Aside from the SHIB stuff, we have this meta stuff from Facebook, and we have berry coins pumping like crazy. I don't know if you've seen any of that going on.
Yeah.
That doesn't help our case either.
For Bitcoin.
Even though most of that in ETH, even though most of that is people institutional buying on Grayscale products.
Yeah, or people just like trying to figure out the best coin to front run the Facebook meta stuff, metaverse plays. If metaverse is the thing, they're trying to say like, okay, well, what's going to go? Well, let's go with Decentraland.
Buy the biggest trash game ever. Yeah,
trust in Barry. It's like the Hasaka Gigabrain move. But I don't know, man. It's just, I feel like Bitcoin missed an opportunity. In the chat, I forget, Verdant, I think, was the one that was like, Bitcoin kind of lost its narrative. The ETF was its narrative. And then, like now what? You know, the ETF wasn't spot, so it didn't like eat Bitcoin. It didn't really move fast enough into the kind of ETF rumors. Didn't really move with the ETF itself. So like, who's going to eat Bitcoin? What's going to be the Bitcoin narrative? Versus if you're talking about ETH, like ETH is still burning. It was fully deflationary last week. It was like ETH is very core to this metaverse play if Facebook's going after it, and like it gives you somebody to go to war with, you know. And yeah, it's like ETH's narratives are better. Downside being like ETH is crazy expensive, right?
Yeah, I mean,
was
that's what I was about to say.
The counter to that is fees are insane, and
Which means people are
BTC
using it.
BTC inflation is still 2% or less. So it's not like being deflationary is a massive win, but
But
I mean,
something.
The fees on ETH is just like, that makes me like take a step back again. I still remember during the ICO days, and you couldn't use ETH, and I was like, okay, this is like so bearish. The moment people start using it, it just stops working. And now we're like here 4 years later, shit still doesn't work, and it's so frustrating, because if it would, I think if ETH was cheap right now, it'd be completely ripping.
The funny thing is, the reason it's expensive is because of SHIB, and SHIB's getting all of the attention and price, right? So it's like the tokens are strangling ETH.
Yeah.
Colin in the chat said fees on ETH makes me want to be a Sol maxi, and this gets to my point as well. Like, if ETH has these problems, but it's got better narratives than Bitcoin right now, and then all the other stuff is like on the hopium of being better than ETH, then it just creates this perpetuation of the inflation of all things, right? Like the bubbleification of the entire market, which is much harder to sustain. Like, if Solana goes another 5x, and Avalanche and Arbitrum and whatever you want to, like, whatever your narrative is, ADA, I don't care, whatever your narrative is for like beating ETH, but ETH has the better narrative than Bitcoin, then like you're like expanding the entire balloon. And what I would like to see is like focused expansions that kind of move around, because that's more of a healthy market to me. If they all just get bigger and bigger, eventually it's like when the NFT market blew up, like the same rich people were buying them, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, there's more and more of these NFTs that they want to buy, and they just don't have the willingness to distribute their capital around anymore, or they get so levered up amongst all these different plays that then like they can get wiped. It just seems like it makes for more top things if everything keeps bubbling together, versus if you had a really solid rotation into Bitcoin or into ETH, whichever one, I don't freaking care. Like smaller hot balls of money. You
just want to trade.
I do, but it feels like it could perpetuate the cycle length better to me if you have those longer term rotations.
Yeah, it's
that
just
I agree with, actually.
Too diluted right now.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's what happened. That ended the 2017 market. Remember that? Like all the ICOs spread out, and it was like literally multiple ICOs a day, and it's like millions and millions of dollars going off all over the place, and eventually it cracks. Then that it just couldn't sustain itself anymore, and I think we run the risk of that again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how every single crypto bubble is ever going to play out. Like, that's just how this market works, I think, because at the end of the day, like, there's like such a big reward for being in the market that, I mean, the downside's almost always gonna be just as big, right? I mean, I don't think there's gonna be crypto without 50% drawdowns or 80% drawdown. Like, I don't think we have seen the last of like 70 to 80% drawdowns of Bitcoin yet. And a bunch of people are like, okay, this is like the new paradigm, whatever. I don't think so. I mean, could be. I don't know when like we're gonna get like a big drawdown again. Could be from 100K all the way back down to like a low number. Could be from high up than that. But I don't think we've seen the last of like these, like at least 75 or like round that number pullbacks.
75%?
75, yeah.
Percent.
As a bear market.
Yeah,
I think
like if Bitcoin.
Oh, bear market. Yeah, I thought you meant like a candle. Like, Jesus.
No, not just one candle, but like over a couple of years, right? Like, I think.
Yeah, easy. I believe. Yeah, sure.
We're always gonna have these massive cycle things where like Bitcoin goes from 3K to 60, 70, 100, 150K, and then it goes down like most of that again, and like obviously not most of it, as in back to 3K, but. I mean, quite low again. And then you can start buying again, and it keeps on doing that I mean, at least I hope so. I think that's the charm of this market, where it's like, even if you miss it, like even if you miss it once,
Don thing ever. The charm of this market is that it gets wrecked.
Yeah, but I mean, you get like several chances, and you've had that in crypto history so many times where it goes down 80%, and if you have the balls to buy it, you make out like a bandit, and if you don't, I mean, tough luck, you get another time.
Yeah.
We're at all-time highs, and Don's talking about 80% drawdown.
I mean, is there another place where you could talk about it? Like, because 80% drawdowns are only ever going to happen after like all-time highs, right? That's the best part about it. It's not like it goes down 80% and then recovers a little bit and then goes down 80% again, like altcoins do. It's like it goes down 80% and then like goes up 20x and does the 80% drawdown again, and then goes up 20x again.
As this bull market began and the institutional interest really kicked off, one of my speculative takes was, will the drawdowns be smaller? And, you know, as like more serious players are ready to step in and buy the dip. And I think what we see is the answer is no, because people can still lever up. And if it takes 15 or 20% to wipe out mid to high leverage, and that can happen in a day or 2 day type of candle before it can be replaced. Like it has to wipe it out before it can be replaced. And that therefore it has to happen quickly. So if you're getting 15, 20% in 24 hours, then like the depth of your drawdowns, even in a bull market, end up being 30 to 50%, just like always. And then your bear market, people were certainly willing to step in and kind of ladder down 50% and beyond. And I think that's why, to your point, Don, that's why you can continue having those severe drawdowns, is as long as the market can leverage, then that's going to be the case. And then if the volatility subsides, the other thing that we've consistently seen is people instantly go seek volatility elsewhere. So it'll always be crazy somewhere, even if Bitcoin calms down. And you'll have these kind of huge bull and bear swings. Somebody asked, would Ethereum have to basically break for Solana to pull another 5x? I don't think it has to break. Here's some more napkin drawings. I've been hoping Solana would do a 2017 ETH triangle thing, which would basically be let ETH and BTC moon and Solana not, is my hope, because it gives you the same justification for why I want ETH and BTC to go separately. But I think this type of big Solana consolidation, and then it finishes its little cycle with a move beyond 500. It ends up looking a lot like 2017 ETH did. Now, it could move sooner and keep grinding and be goofy. But again, I would love if we could get some like real longer term consolidation on stuff like this, because it makes them very tradable. And I think that's what could move Solana. I think Solana is probably going to end up number 3 or 4 market cap overall, like flip ADA, that kind of stuff. And it has upside, therefore, in that case. The question would be, is that on a relative basis, or is that on a, so Solana becomes number 3 during the bear market, or does Solana become number 3 because it just turbo pumped higher than ADA and whatever else?
Yeah, kind of like what Link did during the bear market, right? People like, okay, Link's gonna outperform everything, and then it did outperform everything, but while everything was going down.
Yeah, it did go up. Like it very few things went up during the bull market. It did. So that there was something to that for sure, but it's not necessarily like exactly what you would hope and dream if it's all during a bear market. So Solana's number 6 right now. $61 billion market cap. I don't know what FDV is. Oh, so it's actually like it's about to flip Cardano. That's crazy.
Yeah. You hate to see it.
Yeah, BNB's up 12% in the past week. So it's up at 89 billion now. So anyway, Solana still, to get to number 3, the thing is that's not a 5x, like another 50%, and it's there. But if it's going to threaten an Ethereum flipping, there's your 5x.
Oh,
right?
I mean, that would surprise me, honestly.
It would surprise me big time.
I mean, you don't, in general, I don't think you want to see.
You would love it? Is that what you said?
I would love it. I would love to see the ETH maxi tiers. Just for that alone, it would be worth it.
Okay, so Solana's FDV is 100 billion. I said I wasn't going to look at it, and then I did. So a 5x FDV versus would basically get it to Ethereum's market cap today. But I don't know what Ethereum doesn't have an FDV.
Not as easy to figure out. Yeah.
Yeah. So a Solana 5x from 200. Solana $1,000. The ETH flipping conversation is like heavy drum beat, heavy drum beat. So there's your upside for Solana. I say that as someone who, people get mad at me for talking crap about Solana. Anyway.
What's the Sol ETH pair look like? That's the real question.
Yeah, that's how you measure that.
How does it look like?
Looks really good. Looks really good for Solana.
Yeah. Solana how do you get bearish on it?
Wow.
Yeah.
This thing is going. It's going to go. It's going to flip ETH.
No, number go up technology.
Don't need to
I
buy
wouldn't
Sol.
put my name on that. But I mean, if it does flip ETH, like, do we head into a bear market again?
Yeah.
Or like, does stuff have to flip in Bitcoin for that to happen? Because I think, like, almost guaranteed, you flip Bitcoin, we head into a bear market. But is the same thing the case with ETH? I have no idea.
I don't know. I'd be, if I was an ETH maxi, I'd be nervous. That's all I'll say.
So we've talked about ETH, we talked about Solana. The other layer one trades, they still look okay versus the dollar, but they're lagging a little bit on the relative pairs. Like, I'm looking at AVAX, despite some news, like AVAX looks fine, but it's just chilling here kind of at its prior all-time high levels. Tezos really, I mean, we marked the top talking about how everybody on Weekly Open made money on Tezos.
Yep.
So that's just had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down weeks. This is the fifth down week. If it were to end down right now, maybe it's just consolidating, but it looks choppy. It looks like a big bag of nothing to me. That to say the layer one trade does not look as good as it did. Maybe they're making room for ETH. I don't know. What has started to look stronger to me, curious y'all's thoughts, is it looks like DeFi is trying to do things again. There's
somewhat.
Yeah, like DeFi perp on a relative basis. It's still kind of in no man's land. You're looking at Aave specifically, but like if I look at, here's DeFi versus ETH. This is one of the ones I like to look at. It looks like it's trying to form a bottom. It's still not entering the trade that we have highlighted on this show. Like the easier mode trade would be from make a higher high and then go to the top of the range. Because that's a 2x relative to ETH, which would be great. But it does look stronger, certainly versus the BTC. It's like every time it looks terrible, it hits this, it's treating this kind of 0.2 DeFi perp versus BTC, kind of like a range trade. And then it looks like it's broken out versus the dollar as well. DeFi perp versus the dollar. This to me looks...
DeFi perp looks amazing to me.
Yeah.
It looks as amazing as ETH does to me.
Yeah, it looks great.
It's inevitable. It's inevitability. It's a matter of time. It just needs volume.
I look at some singular names like Rune. I don't even know if their network's still live, but like it's almost back
to... Shots fired.
I didn't mean it in a negative way. I just literally curious. I don't know if their network is live yet, but it's like almost fully back to make Bobby rich again territory. Like it looks fantastic. I'm seeing, my own favorite Cope coin in ZRX is like pumped incredibly yesterday. It looks ridiculous versus the dollar, but it looks like it's tried to bottom versus ETH versus Bitcoin. Like its Bitcoin relative pair basically just looks like it's at the all-time reversal range. And that's ZRX. Like ZRX is nothing to write home about in terms of relative performance. Even Sushi looks good. I know some people who literally get terrified about the market when Sushi looks good. It's just perpetual underperformer of late. So are these just kind of relative, like Bitcoin's so boring, DeFi's moving a little bit? therefore expect volatility soon and they all get smashed down? Or is it real?
I think this is the one time I've ever been more bearish than, or more bullish than both of you.
On DeFi or in general?
On everything. And DeFi looks great. ETH looks great. BTC looks great. They just need volume. Just need to move. I need SHIB to chill out.
I should qualify that, Josh. I'm very bullish.
You're cautious. You're optimistically cautious.
I'm trying to figure out what's the downside.
I'm full in.
You're full enjoyer mode. You're just you don't care about the rotation. You're just enjoying.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's the way to go, huh? I mean, I'm still bullish. I'm still in my positions. I'm not really like with regards to like altcoins. I get a little bit worried when DeFi pumps nowadays. Like always kind of marks the end.
It makes you think the market's about to nuke, and it's terrible. I feel bad saying that, but it's what's happened all year. Like after February, DeFi was done, and even then, it was on a relative basis. It didn't even make new highs. Like last summer was DeFi season, and ever since then, it's been like sell the pump, basically.
Yep.
Well, DeFi perp is slowly rising with ETH fees.
I mean, DeFi perp looks amazing. I do agree with you there.
Thank you, somebody. Thank you.
I mean, I mean, how can you be bearish? This is the same kind of situation where it's like you don't have resistance left on DeFi perp. Does it look better than ETH? I don't know. I think ETH probably looks better.
Yeah, ETH does look better for sure, but they both look completely fine here.
I'm not hating on this chart.
You know, one of the ones that I talked about before, we named the show after it last week, about Curve running the fibs. It retraced some of that and then has given us a nice kind of weekly entry if that's your jam. And that's DeFi too. It's just like DeFi that never pumped before. When I look at this one, it looks like it's retesting the Bitcoin pair. I think it still looks really good. So I'm not trying to be a bear. I don't know. I'm trying to pick my spots, I guess. So like Curve still looks great to me on all time frames. And it looks like it's given us like people who weren't in the potential to be in if they want to be. I love the risk reward for Curve here. I still think $10 is a magnet. I like that setup for ZRX. And then even Sushi and Ave and stuff look good. But like ETH is just going to smash some dreams here, right? Like, do these really are ETH and BTC really going to sit long enough for these to make the move?
I mean, that's the big question, right? I don't think so. Like, I think we're either going to see a nuke in Bitcoin and ETH, and these get like doubly nuked, or like a pump, and then these dump regardless. Now, I could be wrong. Like, I mean, it's already been like, I think a week more than I thought this was going to go sideways. Like I thought like a week, maybe two. It's starting to go into the third week where we're just going sideways on Bitcoin and on ETH for that matter. So, I mean, it's already done like more than I thought. So maybe I'm wrong on that. But in general, like given that the market's at all-time high for both Bitcoin and ETH, it seems so weird to me to be like over allocated in these things. Like makes sense to kind of bet on like a few outperformers. Like you have like a setup that you like a lot, go for it. And then you can take that with leverage or whatever you want to do. But in general, like betting on the entire like altcoin market to outperform seems, or like even like the entire DeFi market or entire whatever niche you kind of like, I think is a little bit over the top. But I could be wrong on that front. Like I don't have a strong view. I wouldn't want to, like if I could short the altcoins, I wouldn't want to. But I'm not really looking to buy any right now anyway.
We're getting asked by Jack, what do we think about open interest as a whole? Josh, do you have a chart for that?
Yeah, I have it up. I can share my screen. Jack and I discussed this a little bit on into DMs, you know, as the kids say. But
should be able to share now.
I was saying to him then that two things I've learned about open interest: one, that it gets bigger every cycle, regardless, and number two, you can't really trust anything volume based in crypto. Why can't I open a Zoom? Because most of it's just fake anyway. If you look at where the volume's coming from right now, there's a massive CME slice that wasn't there before.
Wow.
No, it was sort of as big at the top in April, but I mean, this is literally new stuff that we hadn't had, right? And that's a very large percentage of this.
Who's making this chart? CoinGlass? I have no idea. This is off bybt.com. Shout out to them. That's a very nice looking chart.
So this comes down to, who do you trust for volume stuff? Who do you trust for actually being legitimate? Like, do I trust that all of this Binance open interest is legit? No, not really. I mean, you can trust DYDX because it's on chain, I guess. Huobi? No, I don't trust them either. I don't trust anything Chinese. Bybit, I don't really trust them either. Binance, okay, now this starts to make a little bit more sense to me. And CME is still a massive portion of this. So I'm not super concerned. We can look at the CME chart, the price chart might look a little different. Let's take a look at ETH as well, if I can find it on here. There we go. Yeah, ETH, it's the same issues, right? Like if we take out Huobi, BitGet, no idea what that is. Yeah, it's at all-time highs. So is borrow volume. So is stablecoin supply. So is TVL. Like everything is at an all-time high here. I don't think that's an issue. Because look at price. Price is flat. If prices were mega moon and open interest and TVL and everything was mega moon, yeah, I'd get concerned.
But it doesn't bother.
Are we ripe for a potential pullback? Sure. OI is insanely high right now.
We're ripe for a move.
Am I going to short that? No. Am I going to close my long positions? No. Am I going to close my spot positions? No.
Is Josh going to do anything today? No.
Hey, doing nothing is doing something. Okay. It's the only job in the world.
It's hard work.
The only job in the world.
I can agree.
I can do nothing and it's the right move and it's doing something.
Somebody asked us about Chainlink. Do we still hate it? No, we never hated it in the first place. We just don't think it's going anywhere. On a relative basis, remember that DeFi perp chart was above this line, the early September highs. Link is below it. So I can infer on a relative basis that Link is still underperforming. Same as I expect. Sorry to put a
Link
damper on anyone's feelings.
The biggest thing I'm watching for Link is the 200-day moving average, 365 moving average, and if we can get back into this previous rate of change. I do like 70 to 80 this cycle, which is still a 2x. So long as we do move up this cycle on the USD pairs. They're still selling. They're still selling a ton of Link.
Yeah, you can keep calling me the relative trader because I just don't care. Like that, I just think Link will underperform other things. So, sorry.
It's outperformed during the bear market and it's underperformed during the bull market. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
This little thing here, this little ditty, this ascending triangle, looks like an easy all-time high retest to me, and I think after that it's going to get interesting. But I'm not going to expect anything big from this.
You know what happens though is people are like, we say stuff like this, and then it pumps like 30% in one day, and people are like, "Ha ha ha, you idiot!" And then it just fades out, and it's a continuation, because the team will be like, "Oh, thanks, 30% increase in our normal treasury sells. Here we go," and they just keep dumping on you. I just don't want to be a project's liquidity. Sorry.
You know what I'd actually love to see? This would be terrible for crypto, but terrible. But if Ripple loses to the SEC, and then SEC immediately turns around and goes after Link for the same crap, that would be just chef's kiss.
But the Link
drama.
team is not in the US or anything.
I don't care. The SEC will find a way. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I have a hard time with those because it's like it would be good for crypto to win and bad for it'd be bad for crypto if Ripple loses, but it'd be in a way good because they probably are the most deserving to lose. They just have such a big treasury to fight this forever. So I don't know. All right. So relative trades, we kind of like the look of DeFi, but we're scared. Don, don't do them all at once. Pick your battles within DeFi. ETH and BTC, we can't really determine what's what. We are fine. No big thoughts on the relative.
We're enjoyers.
We're enjoyers. We are very close to my like, okay, go for the relative pair as well. Like this ETH BTC thing. If it makes that new high over 0.078, that's like my suck it up and take the road. You know, play that trip that you have on your chart right there to 0.1. That's a good trade. I'll take that trade. 0.078 to 0.1. Nice little relative win.
I'll trade it. I'm not going to like it, but I'll trade it. There's always the trader. If you're actually a legitimate trader, there's always the trader, and then how you feel about Solana, Doge, SHIB, ETH, BTC, right?
You know how
you should always divorce those feelings. They are two different people. You are multiple personality person. Okay.
You know how
it's important.
Satisfied my Ethereum exposure is, if I have access to sell alts that I would like to sell, but like either they're, you know, I've staked them and they're like unlocking over time, something like that. I move those to ETH instead of BTC to gradually get my ETH exposure back up. And then I'm on margin ETH more than BTC, with BTC collateral. And then the other thing is like when I really like an alt like Curve, I'll do Curve instead of ETH, to get a little extra bonus on that. So I have gotten to a point to where I will be happy if ETH goes up. I will be happy if BTC goes up. I'll even be happy if I get the outperformance wrong, because I think my overall exposure is balanced enough to be comfy. I just want the market to go up for the rest of the year. How about that? Can we have something nice to finish the year?
Yeah, finish the year with a grand slam. I'm down.
Grand finale, and then we can have our 85% drawdown. I'd be fine with that. I expect 2022 to be
pretty nasty,
bad. Q1 to be bad. I'll be out of most of my crypto by December 31st for sure. That isn't in cold storage. So yeah, until then, let's go. Yeah, I'd love anything to do anything at this point.
Is it possible that 2022 is kind of like the second half of 2019, like just a funky drawdown type of thing after it's gone up a lot, like faster than people expect type of stuff, you know?
I mean, you've got all of DeFi still up insane from January 1st. So you've got the long-term cap gains people just can't wait to get out of those positions, right?
It's not even that they can't wait. It's just that they don't want to think about it until then. I know a lot of people that are like, okay, I have to wait until January or February or March or April because this is when I last made the trade. And yeah, I think that's a huge deal. People make fun of me for talking about taxes, but I don't think people are thinking about the impact of taxes enough on what's going to happen January to April.
I agree. That's why Q1 is usually bad.
That's in America. Don, how's that affected in Europe?
No, it depends, but it's the same in Germany.
Okay. So the seasonality of like a new year and the impacts on taxes is still important.
Yeah. I mean, you pay taxes for that year. Yeah.
Gotcha. So something to consider. We all want the rest of the year to be so bullish. Like, I feel like we're going to get scammed.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Like it's so weird because like the chart looks so good. Like look at the Bitcoin weekly chart. Like there's no resistance left. Look at the ETH weekly chart. There's no resistance left. The charts look good. Everything looks good. And then, yeah, you still have, I feel like almost everyone in the market right now has this weird feeling where they're like, oh shit, I don't want to get rug pulled. But there's like no real reason to think that, other than, okay, we haven't moved in 2 weeks. Like everyone's nervous.
Exactly. I think people are getting nervous because nothing's happened and SHIB is mooning. Like that, SHIB is the most problematic thing. I don't care about OI. I don't care about TVL. I don't care about lending and borrowing. I don't care about stablecoin issuance. I don't care about any of that stuff. But SHIB needs to go to zero.
Do y'all want to see a chart that looks better than Ethereum?
Please.
Is it Legacy?
Yep.
Is it Tesla?
Look at IWM.
Oh, here we go with a boomer.
Look at IWM.
We're going to pull out the Russell 2000 next?
This is the Russell 2000.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying.
That looks like the Sol ETH chart to me. That looks really good. That looks really good.
One other element to like what you were talking about there, Don, is like even the stock market, it got a little bit of a dip and then it just went back to up only. Maybe it's going to have this massive bear div that people point at, or, you know, corrections soon. But in the meantime, it's at all-time highs yet again. And it's consistently at all-time highs. Freaking Tesla's like parabolic blow off top, like crypto Kaleo. Congrats, dude, because I mean, I'm amazed. It didn't just make new highs. It went ballistic. And he just is printing on it because he would ham on short-term options. So I'm happy for him, but he's a psychopath. But like, I mean, IWM has been consolidating since February. All of the legacy market it looks like people are just going for real assets. Like, this is inflationary stuff, isn't it?
Well, one thing that could earnestly pump the brakes on all this is a rate increase, which is
tapering.
What is probably going to happen sooner rather than later.
But you know, the dollar, we've talked about this chart on a bunch of episodes. It went to the top of the range and now it's struggling against that range. So I guess if it does get that breakout over 94.80, that would also be indicative of tapering, not, you know, both being real and also being not priced in. So yeah, it's hard to be bearish Bitcoin when you see all that across like legacy markets. It does not, it truly feels like the market believes cash is trash, per Ray Dalio's point from a couple years ago.
I agree. We just had a CME rollover. We just had a Derivate rollover last week. So I don't really know what could stop this train other than the Fed, honestly.
It's always blame the Fed.
Yeah.
To we didn't really bring up the Facebook news, but Facebook rebranding to Meta. Not only rebranding to Meta, but also talking about just how much they're kind of going in on the concept of the metaverse, Oculus stuff and whatever. The centralized metaverse being a big part of what they do. Market had been punishing them kind of leading into that, but seemingly bottomed alongside the news itself. I think it's gonna be something to watch in terms of like what kind of battle lines get drawn. How does Facebook? I mean, they're one of the biggest companies in the world, and we're talking about how will they address like blockchain stuff. So that's a huge deal if you think about the realm that Ethereum's in, right? So something to consider there as well. And then
we need like a Meta perp. Make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, our sponsor is FTX. They know how to do those things.
Let's get Sam. Let's get Sam on the horn here.
Our non-US friends. They already did one for, what was the company? Oh, the ETF, Bito. And then one more on that note. Coinbase stock seems to be finally being rewarded for all that volume and all that interest in crypto. So, yeah, I mean,
that's a shitty bet, right?
Yeah,
like was outperformed heavily.
I hate that bet, but it's still, people are doing it.
Yeah.
All of this is indicative to continuation being the most likely path.
I agree.
Maybe some shenanigans first, but
have the faith. Be patient.
It's so hard. It's so hard to be patient.
The more people get rocked out of their position, the better, honestly. So I'll be here in my position. Don't you worry. But other people, I'm happy to be here in position and wrong. I think a lot of people are not on that wavelength. They can't stand being wrong. They'd rather not hold risk here, and if they get nervous, they just jump out, which is fine. Everybody trades differently. I get it, but I just think the upside is so enormous compared to the downside here.
Yeah. Don, anything you want to add?
No. I mean, I kind of agree. I think in general, it's so easy to kind of have an invalidation as bull right now that it makes no sense to be bearish, because, I mean, we are at all-time high, pretty much. We are kind of pushing, and until that changes, why be bearish, right? If you want to be bearish, you can be bearish lower. I think there's gonna be a time where it's really, really lucrative to be a bear again, but right now, like technically, I don't see a reason for it. And if you want to make any other arguments, I mean, be my guest, but it's not for me, right? So on the same kind of page, it does like, there's a bunch of stuff that worries me, but not enough to kind of be the guy that sells before this actually plays out. So I'm going to be waiting as well, just taking my time, seeing how it goes. And then I think like, if you want to be bearish after this breaks to the upside at 70 or 80K, or at least like take some off, I mean, I'm definitely going to do that. But right now, not too worried.
Be on the lookout for euphoria. Be on the lookout for funding outpacing moves. Be on the lookout for the rotations too quickly going to absolute garbage. And when those happen, if we have the downside, try to have powder, whether your powder is, large caps like Bitcoin or Ethereum, or if your powder is dollar, and you're deleveraged, prepare to be the wick, take advantage of the downside rather than being subject to it.
Funding is high. Like there are reasons to be concerned, but I just, even if this goes down 5%, okay. So,
yeah,
it's important to know what to be concerned about and what to look for and where you're selling and blah, blah, blah.
That's high, but also not unbearable. We've maintained weeks at those funding levels.
Yeah. I mean, it's just important to let it do its thing.
And I mean, if it dips, just bid 52K. I think that should wipe funding, and then we should probably head up again.
Yeah, where's the, let me just pull up the daily cloud real quick. Oh, that'll be the end of the show. Nice bookend here.
Show us the
BTC.
cloud. What does the cloud believe?
Before I go to bed at night, I always look at the cloud.
54.
So yeah, 53?
53.2. That's your nuke everything bid. Buy the Keyshin when the Keyshin comes. That'll be the dip. That's like the end of the dip. If you get liquidated at the Keyshin, figure out how not to.
Yeah, for sure.
That's something that you need to pay attention to. Let's leave it there. Thanks, y'all, for being here with us. We appreciate you. You can catch these episodes at weeklyopen.com for the replays. You can subscribe to the audio if you can't catch it on video. And thank you so much to FTX for being our partners. Go to weeklyopen.com/FTX and make your trades there today. You can track your portfolios you know and love. And of course, you can earn yield on your assets while you're at it. 5% beyond $10,000, 8% up to $10,000. Track your portfolio, all the goods, right there at FTX. Talk to you later.